Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Wrong One's podcast. I'm Dinesh Sagi, joined by Amar. Hey, Amar.
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. What a week of cricket. What a week of Champions
Absolutely.
Trophy.
Yes. I think we now get into the thick of things in terms of obviously, there's a lot of stake with the second rounds. Like we probably discussed on a previous podcast, obviously, Group A sort of sorted with New Zealand and India progressing. But Group B starting to get interesting, especially after yesterday's result between Afghanistan and England. What a nail
Oh,
biter.
what a match. What a match. We thought that Australia England was the most exciting one, but this was some another level. And talking of some another level, I mean, Afghanistan are looking so dangerous.
Absolutely. One of the things I think we sort of discussed this on a lot of podcasts and obviously offline conversations as well previously. The sort of progression they made 10, 15 years ago. Probably they were probably so. I've heard this on uh, air yesterday. So apparently 15 years ago, Afghanistan were playing in League Five of the ICC cricket, and for them to obviously progress from there and then obviously now play in the Champions Trophy. Obviously, they made it to the knockout stages in the T20 World Cup, and then to obviously come into the Champions Trophy, and then cause this massive upset against a side like England is actually massive for the nation itself.
It is massive. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I can call this an upset. Afghanistan at the moment, it looks like are the second best team in Asia after India. So if you think
Yeah.
about it, Sri Lanka, uh, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they have been playing cricket for so long,
Mhm.
and look where they were 15 years ago, and today, it looks like some have spiraled down and some
Mhm.
have just stayed there. But Afghanistan, every single year, every single tournament, they have been progressing and they have been progressing upwards. Um, of course, hard work, dedication, and love for the game,
Mhm.
and more than anything else, they look like they want to play together. They want to play for each other, and they just keep on surprising everyone, and improving
100%. Yeah.
every
Mhm.
day. So I think that is the key. They are improving every single day, every single game, and they just want to play for each other. And they look like, whenever they are playing, they are so determined and they just keep on fighting. They never give up. That's the best quality.
Yeah, can't agree more. And you made a very, very good point. And this is something I sort of heard from other podcasts and some of the pundits as well. Pakistan sort of on the declining phase. Sri Lanka obviously had the troubles over the last probably 5 6 years since like in the likes of Jayawardene, Sangakkara sort of Dilshan moved on and they haven't really found a replacement. Bangladesh, unfortunately, and there's an interesting video that's doing circles on YouTube as well, and something I sort of posted on YouTube on Rogman's YouTube channel as well, where Nasir Hussain actually made a really good point about Bangladesh cricket when he was comparing them against Afghanistan, where they made the debut 15 16 years ago at like the higher level, and they sort of stagnated. They haven't really progressed. We haven't really seen a Bangladesh team in any of the ICC tournaments apart from that one off upset here and there in 2007 and probably post that. They haven't really hit the knockout stages till date. But for Afghanistan to sort of only play in international ICC events in the last like 6 to 7 years, and obviously to make it to a couple of knockout stages, and obviously they were very close in the previous 2023 World Cup as well. It wasn't for Australia, and they could have even progressed in that tournament as well. And obviously what they've done with the T20 World Cup, and now this recent win sort of talks volumes in terms of how well the progressing as a team.
They have. And one of the striking factors which I can see, which differentiates this Afghanistan team from the other teams, is um, the senior players, how well they how well they have maintained, I suppose, sanity, their own sanity, and also taking care of the rest of the team. It
Hmm.
looks like, they mentor their new players really, really well, and they just want to play for the nation, for the team itself. It doesn't look like that any of the senior players are playing there for themselves. Whereas in some of the other teams, we see that there are senior players, a group of senior players, even in some cases the cricket board, they act mostly for their own good.
Hmm.
Not so in Pakistan, not so in Afghanistan.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. So obviously looking at, like, yesterday's game, right? Afghanistan batted first, 325. They posted up the 50 overs for losing 7 wickets. Ibrahim Zadran, 177. What a knock from him. 23 years of age. He's already scored, like, quite a few hundreds recently. And then, some good support from the skipper, Shahidi, 40 of 67. Omazai, 41 of 31 deliveries. And then Mohammad Nabi, the old guard. Uh, from the time I remember Afghanistan cricket, I think Nabi sort of played every international game for them, be it ODIs, T20, and then one of test. Test. I think he was part of every single game. And in turn, obviously England, for them it was an important game where they had to sort of win to sort of progress to the next stage. Again, this was the first game they had to win, and then obviously play South Africa later in the tournament. But unfortunately, they fell short by 8 runs. They managed 317. Uh, Duckett with 38, Joe Root. Obviously, we can't forget him. He always contributes, and he made a massive impact in yesterday's game with 120. And then a couple of contributions from Harry Brook, 25, Josh Butler, 38, and Jamie Overton, 32. But yeah, it was massive for Afghanistan in the context of where the Group B is sort of progressing. But yeah, maybe starting off with the batting, right? Ibrahim Zadran, how impressed are you with his achievements and especially his performance yesterday? Just for viewers side, in terms of where he stands in the ODI rankings, in terms of how well he's done for Afghanistan recently. He played 35 games, uh, scored 1634 runs. His highest score is obviously yesterday, 177. Averages at 51. And then, like I pointed out, right, out of the 35 innings he's played, he already scored 600s and 750s.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? It's crazy.
Hmm.
But before coming on to Zadran, I would say, the start itself, with the winning the toss, Afghanistan elected to bat first, even though it was there was a due factor,
Hmm.
because they had to bowl later. But it looks like they had plans. They have very good plan to counter that.
Hmm.
Hats off to the captain Jonathan Trott as well, the think tank. But of course, batting first, they needed a really good opening partnership with Gurbaz.
Hmm.
But Gurbaz fell very early.
Hmm.
Jofra Archer took his wicket, but Ibrahim Zadran, what an amazing player, absolute star of a batsman. Um, Actually, if you look at his images and the way he plays, at times I thought it was Kohli who was batting.
Hmm.
His follow through and the shots, the way he plays, it's very, very similar to how Kohli plays. That's what I thought. Um,
Hmm.
and of course, you're talking about 600s there. Um, uh, I think I'll mention that he's the first player from Afghanistan to score a century in an ICC tournament. I think in the World Cup he did score 100. I think that was it. But now again he has scored another 100 and 150 even. So he becomes the first Afghanistan batter to score a 150 in an
Hmm.
ICC event. And what range of shots and what clean hitting. There was um, no clutter, no ambiguity, no confusion in his brain when he was
Hmm.
playing, and he was taking bowlers to the cleaners. Early on, when the wicket fell, he held on. He knew that the other opener fell, so he had to play a long game. And of course, with Hashmatullah Shahidi and Omar Zai and Mohammad Nabi, those batters to come. He knew that he had to give a long stand for those batters to play a role later on. Um, of course, Rahmat Shah and Atal didn't score much
Hmm.
because Archer was in his element. He was taking wickets up front. But then again, with Omar Zai, Ibrahim had a long partnership.
Hmm.
Um, and also, it shows that in such big games, you just need one player to stick and take bat through the innings, really. And when you do that with other players supporting you, more often than not, towards the 45th over, you will have um, some capacity to go really hard on the end overs. And we saw that last 10 overs, England gave away 113 runs, which
Hmm.
was massive in the context of the game. Because not forgetting that a Afghanistan have really good spinners, and B, England batsmen have not been really good against the spinners lately. We saw that in India as well, and then we've seen that in the Champions Trophy matches for England as well. So there was a very handy 177
Hmm.
and a very good 40 from Shahidi, 41 from Omar Zai, and 40 from Nabi as well. Um, Nabi, I mean, what can we say about him? He perform. He's a performer, isn't he?
Hmm.
40 years of age, but he takes catches. He bowls, takes wickets. He has, in both the matches, he has taken wicket off his first ball
Hmm.
in both the matches, and also bats. Gives very handy runs to the team.
Yeah.
So all in all, a brilliant batting performance. But yeah, Zadran, a star player, and Afghanistan will remember this inning for a long, long time.
No, absolutely right, and especially for Zadran, right? It's equally important to mention, like the point you made about, Archer sort of really started well. They picked like three early wickets. That means Afghanistan are already in the back foot, like 30 for three, and then Zadran to obviously hold one end. He sort of played his natural game, trying to get those singles, and like you pointed, right, he has a class in himself, trying to drive the ball, and then come the second half of the innings where they really had to accelerate. He just put his foot down, he's some clean hitting, right? He was just clearing the boundary by a long way, and then obviously the others sort of contributed as well. But yeah, most importantly for him to sort of play that anchor role, which something we discussed on a previous podcast as well, right? For someone like Pakistan, where they haven't had that player who could have played one end, so the others can sort of build around it. And we don't see that with England right now as well. Obviously Joe Root did held one hand yesterday, and something Ben Deckett did in the previous game as well. But yeah, just the context, the pressure, and obviously losing early wickets, I think Sadran sort of really put his hands up and said, I've got this. And then yeah, what a beautiful knock from him. Yeah, Nabi, I mean, guy scores at like 160 strike rate yesterday, and he was hitting clean. Especially when Joe Root came back in the last couple of overs, where they had to sort of fill in some overs for someone like Mark who got injured. Some hitting from Nabi, and that sort of helped, kind of push that run rate to the scoreboard to over 320. So yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah, and I think very early in the innings, Zadran would have identified that this is an absolute belter of a wicket,
Hmm.
and that's the message he must have passed to his batters. Just hold on, and we
Hmm.
will get our reward later on in the innings. I mean, if you think about it, of course, Shahidi Omarzai and Nabi supported him,
Hmm.
but Rashid Khan, he is also a destructive batsman.
Yeah.
He didn't get enough balls right in the end.
Hmm.
I think he should come up the order because he is kind of a absolute belter of a hitter. But
Yep.
in the end, he was not needed. But saying that, if if they had, because Zadran was going all guns blazing, and the reason he was going in the end was because that he knew that 300 will not be enough.
Hmm.
So once they were close to 300, they said, right, this is the time we have to just press on the pedal and get as much as possible, and that helped in the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And obviously, from England's standpoint, they knew this is a big game. There's a lot at stake, but unfortunately, their top order Phil Salt sort of failed again. Cracking delivery from Omasai, who also contributed with 5 wickets. Along with his 40 with the bat, and then Ben Duckett sort of was going well, but then Rashid Khan caused an upset, and Mohammad Nabi as well, where he again managed to get Jamie Smith very quickly. But then there was a good partnership that sort of developed with Joe Root on one end with his 120. But I don't think from a Joe Root standpoint, sort of watching the innings over again, I sort of realized he didn't get the right support from the other batters. Everyone's coming in, scoring a quick 15, 20, and then sort of throwing away the wickets. No one really stayed maybe and sort of build that long partnership. Do you think that's where obviously that puts sort of some pressure on Root as well to sort of throw his wicket towards the end? If he stayed till then, maybe things would have been different.
Yeah, things would have been different, and for sure, we have seen this time and again with England that if they don't get a good opening stand, and it's true for any team as well. I mean, if you don't get a good opening stand, then very often, often you see that 325 becomes a 350 total.
Mhm. Yeah.
Phil Salt has not given that start lately, and
Hmm.
England has suffered because of that. Ben Duckett has been batting. He scored a 38, but a struggling 38, and he was given LBW against Rashid Khan. But yeah, Phil Salt, he has to come good in next few innings. Otherwise, they will have to look for some other opening partner with Ben Duckett. Jamie Smith, I thought he went for a wrong shot. I
Hmm.
don't know what he was thinking. First ball of Navi, he just stepped out. There was not much turn, and then he skied the ball. But he should have just watched a couple of balls, and then maybe he wanted, if he wanted to take down Nabi, then you do that. But first ball he steps out, so and he gets out, putting all the pressure on Joe Root and Harry Brook. Again, Joe Root, absolute legend. He can bat anywhere against anyone. He has all the shots in the book, and also best of all, he has the right framework, right mindset to play an ODI.
Yeah.
Rotate the strike, take chances when they come to you, don't go for
Hmm.
them. And also understanding that whenever, may it be a big total or a small total, you have to build an innings. He constructs the innings really well. He plays with other batters. He moves around. He keeps the scoreboard ticking. Does not play unnecessary shots, whatever the situation, and understands that once you construct your inning and later on you will get rewarded, you will get chance to hit those odd bad balls or looseners, and saying that Afghanistan didn't give those looseners, but whenever you see a team getting closer to the total, their bowlers sometimes they give these loose balls.
Hmm.
So yeah, Joe Root understands that. What a legend. He scored 120 and almost took them home.
Yeah.
But then, Omar Zai, he took Joe Root's wicket. Harry Brook still, not contributing as he should. He scored 25. Fell off Nabi, cotton ball, very, very soft dismissal. I don't know what he was thinking. It was just not really good to see. To be honest, just he Harry Brook, the way the player he is, the what he has done in the Test cricket for England, he should have done really much better than this. And then comes Josh Butler. The world the world came down to him really, for him to, it was his game to be saved. But
Hmm.
again, it I feel he comes um, too low in this batting order.
Yeah.
He's a world
Hmm.
class player. He has
Hmm.
done wonders as an opener. But he should at least come, just after Joe Root, maybe Harry, just before Harry Brook.
Hmm.
And he should take up that, at least in this game he should have batted with Joe Root, and you know uh, soaked up that pressure. But because Harry Brook came and he fell quickly,
Hmm.
the pressure came on to Josh Butler, and we saw him playing some shots as well in this one. Initially, he looked that he looked like he was in some sort of, um, I wouldn't say trouble, but he was unsure of his shots. And later on, he just tried to get out of jail. He hit two massive sixes,
Hmm.
and it looked like that probably he was getting into his element. But again, scoreboard pressure. He went for another one, skied the ball of Omar Zai, and Rahmat Shah didn't make any mistakes. And then we have Liam Livingston. To be honest, when Liam came, I had absolutely no hopes from him.
Hmm.
We have seen this time and time again.
Hmm.
I would even go as far as calling him Mr. Fraud of English cricket, because he's such a brilliant player. I mean, he promises so much, but then fails to deliver every single time.
Hmm.
I think there are very few instances where he has taken England all the way through,
Hmm.
and I would say he definitely does not play to his potential. So the reason why I say fraud, because he promises so much but never
Delivers nothing.
delivers. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. In the end, it looked like, I mean, at one point they needed what, 20 of somewhat, what,
Two
40,
overs.
15
Yeah.
runs.
12
Yeah,
deliveries. Yeah.
yeah, and Overton,
Hmm.
Archer, Adil Rashid. On a good day, they could have taken England home,
Hmm.
but it wasn't to happen this time. Um, I think Overton and Rashid both fell, uh, you know, closer to the boundary, I guess,
Hmm.
trying to hit sixes and getting them over line.
Yeah.
At that point, maybe, I mean, maybe they panicked. I don't know. They could have done in like singles, and waited for one bad ball, and
Hmm.
it could have done. But it's just easier said than done, really. I mean, we are saying that now, sitting uh, at home on a
Yeah.
chair, but maybe it's not that easy. But
Yeah.
it was a disappointing tour
Hmm.
for England, a disappointing um, a Champions Trophy, uh, and it exposes a lot of problems for England:
Hmm.
lack of preparation, bad selection, bad strategy, um,
Hmm.
and also some of the players, they have to now go back and have a think about what
Hmm.
their future will be. Definitely, one of them can be Joss Butler, his captaincy.
Hmm.
He's a damn good player still. He should be in that batting lineup, but as a batter,
Hmm.
up the order.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think there's many days left for Joss's captaincy.
No, absolutely right. There's two players I was really keen on, right? One, Josh Butler, right? He's such a nice human being. Like, he's very nice to, like, when you listen to his conversations and stuff, he's like very soft spoken. He's not that, dasher sort of guy. Like, he's very soft spoken, and like, he comes across as if, like, he's like a gentleman, like, likes to, like, take the backseat and let, like, things flow. But sometimes that don't necessarily work, especially with, the current formats, right? You have to be like an aggressive and sort of like, lead from the front. You don't necessarily get that impression with Josh Butler, but as a batsman, like, he's brilliant. So again, you also have to think about, it's just not the Champions Trophy, right? Even they had an early exit in the T20 World Cup as well, in West Indies last year. So obviously, a lot of focus on Josh Butler all of a sudden, because he was also the skipper when they won the T20 World Cup 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Where obviously, but then a lot of credit goes to someone like Alex Hales and Jason Roy up the order, who was smashing left, right, and center, and all of a sudden the middle order didn't really have to do much. But now they don't have the same opening stand, and obviously with someone like Phil Saul struggling a lot, I think the owner sort of falls a lot on the middle and the lower middle order, and this is where someone like Jaws, might be on the radar. But yeah, yesterday's game, I think you made a good point, and I personally thought yesterday's game was a perfect opportunity for Josh Butler to walk in at number three. If they wanted to hold root for number four, they could have said Jamie Smith, number 6 or 7. Josh could have stepped in, soak in the pressure, play a long innings and sort of build that platform. But for some reason, he hasn't done that. And it's not like he can't play in the top of the order, because he does open in the T20s and he does open in the IPL. So maybe that could have been an opportunity. But yeah, Josh Butler, obviously, like you said, I don't see him as a skipper going forward. But on that note, right, potentially for me, I was also thinking, if Josh Butler is not going to play as a skipper, my alternate would potentially be Harry Brook. Maybe for him, he's young, he can take over. But then also, I'm looking at Harry Brook, right, and I want to sort of hear your views on Harry Brook. Yes, great
See,
player. He's done exceptionally well, but he hasn't done really well in subcontinent, where turning tracks. He's been struggling literally the Test tour of India. He struggled, and then the recent ODIs, and now obviously he's struggling in the Champions Trophy as well.
yeah, he's been struggling, and but one thing is for sure, he will be in that in England lineup for a long time to come. So he can be in the team, and he can be a captain whom uh, Josh Butler and if Root is there, and also McCullum, they can kind of train him up, groom him um, as a captain, give him chances to try and fail, and then you develop a captain. I mean, with Josh Butler, there's no chance of failing now, because there's no chance of improvement. There's no chance of grooming him. He's already he's already there. So it's better to bring in a new captain. Even if he's failing now, he will fail and learn. But with someone like Josh Butler, who is towards the end of his career as well, I mean, it's just better. It's better not to have a set captain he's failing, but better to have a new young captain who's failing and learning for the future. And over time, he will learn, and he will create his own team, and then um, and there's only one way England cricket can go from here. ODI cricket will go from here, and we have seen that with South Africa, Smith, where he was really young and he was made a captain. So they have to go that route. Um, and talking of Root, Joe Root, I'm not sure what will happen with him in ODIs. He's at the moment he's the best player. He's scoring loads of runs, so maybe he will be in the team, or maybe he will just call it a day, retire,
Hmm.
and give chance to some new blood for the T20 2027 World Cup,
Hmm.
just to give them enough time.
Hmm.
But I'm sure, I think they have to pick a young captain like Harry Brook, and they need time to groom him up as well before
Hmm.
2027. So I think even though he's failing as a batsman,
Hmm.
and they have to go back to the coaches and see why he's failing, what the problem is the spinners, or something he's unsettled about subcontinent wickets. I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but I mean, yeah, if he's not performing, he can actually come play IPL,
Hmm.
and see what's not working. He can spend some time in India. He can spend some time in Sri Lanka if he wants,
Hmm.
before the T20 World Cup, and see what is not working for him,
Hmm.
and then work on that. But yeah, I agree with you. England
Hmm.
can look to him as their new ODI captain,
Hmm.
and groom him. This is a perfect opportunity. With every failure comes an opportunity, and this one is there for England and for Harry Brook as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. And with Harry Brook, right, I regard him as like probably one of the best of this generation, right? At least for England standpoint, he's definitely something, someone who can stand up in the world stage as well. But I think he did have challenges with spin in the past as well. And now, as you like, reflect the IPL as well. Obviously, last season he was supposed to play with for Delhi, but he chose to pull out. The season prior, where he actually went for like whatever 1.3 million to SRH, he sort of struggled every game in the middle order where the spin was bowling. But that one game where they had him like open, that's the only time he actually scored runs, and he had actually scored a century. So I think it's there. Like he does have challenge playing the slower bowlers. So maybe yeah, something he needs to really work on. And Joe Root is only 34, so I think he can definitely looking at his fitness and how well he's playing right now, I think he can definitely stick around for the 50 over World Cup in 27. But also at the same time, it's an opportunity for them the next 2 years to sort of groom younger players and sort of build a team around maybe Brook and like see how things unfold, right? But obviously from you know McCallum's standpoint, right, he's done exceptionally well for them with the Bass ball in Test cricket, and this is his first series. Obviously, the England tour of India was the first series, and then followed by Champions Trophy, and they pretty much lost like every game. Beat the one of T20, they lost like four T20s, three ODIs in the India series, and then obviously two consecutive ODIs here. So, how do you see going forward from a McCallum standpoint? What does he have to do different to try and you know.
Yeah, it's not working for him in the white ball
Mhm.
matches. Very strange tactics,
Mhm.
and of course, you have to have a belief, and you have to have that commitment to your strategy.
Mhm.
But then it's very bizarre strategy that he's going with. I mean, he came to India and he played one mainline spinner. Of
Mhm.
course, leaving Liam could bowl, Joe Root could bowl,
Mhm.
but then he was punished for that because uh, how much ever Root or Liam can bowl, they are part-time spinners. They are not someone who can trouble Indian batsmen.
Mhm.
And in subcontinent wickets, you need at least two frontline spinners. He went with all pace bowlers and in India, and maybe he was thinking of Champions Trophy as a preparation. But however the pitch is in Pakistan, you still need two spinners because as we saw, as it was evident. I mean, it's just not hindsight, but even then, people were talking about after that dismal performance in India, that you need those spinners. I mean, he had Rehan Ahmed all the time sitting on the bench in India and in um, Champions Trophy as well. And the thing is, these days, 90 miles, 95 miles an hour, um, people are, these batsmen are not scared of them.
Mhm.
And the even the worst thing you can do is you can just be one dimensional and go all pace attack. No slower balls, no bounces. I mean, we did see bounces, but they were not going to scare batsmen these days. So you have to have change up bowlers, mystery spinners, um, those tricky mid pace bowlers. So they have to think about this. This approach is not going to work, was not going to work, and it didn't work. So yeah, they have to think about, to get away from that one dimensional approach. If he thought that all pace would work, many people had other ideas, and they were right that these one-dimensional bowling attacks never works these days. The game has moved on from that. You can never scare any batsman with out and out pace only. You have to trick them somehow, and you have to create opportunities with any bowling attack, without creating opportunities, without troubling batsmen, without forcing them to do something different. You're not going to take wickets, and you're not going to contain runs, because they will, batsmen these days, they will see off you initially. When the swing is gone, they will come back at you later on in the overs. So they have to think some about it. They have to have those spinners, and they have to, and England have to find mystery spinners. Without mystery spinners, you can't trouble the batsman these days. I don't know if there is anyone in England at the moment in the up the ranks. I'm not sure, but they will have to do something about it. And surely, if you have Rehan Ahmed in the team, don't just carry him. Give him at least one game. When they were in India, and I was just saying that, just give him one game, just to have
Hmm.
that experience, just to see how
Yeah.
he does. And I mean, 90% of the time, he would have done a lot better than Root or Liam, uh, bowling in subcontinent.
Hmm.
So it was a good opportunity to use him. They did not use him,
Yeah.
and for his future development as well, he would have taken that experience back to England, or wherever they would take him next. But
Hmm.
they didn't do it. So yeah, I mean, he just missed the opportunity.
No, absolutely right. Obviously, next steps, Afghanistan's playing Australia tomorrow, which is sort of a knockout, because the group's still open, and all three teams can still qualify. South Africa playing England the day after. In terms of obviously permutations, combinations, South Africa has a very good chance with 3 points and a really good run rate, and Australia sort of six next. Again, 3 points with an abandoned game. They have positive run rate as well than Afghanistan. But tomorrow, weather prediction isn't great. There's expected to be showers, and obviously, today's game was abandoned between Bangladesh and Pakistan, which is a dead rubber as it is. But tomorrow's game, if for any reason it gets washed out, then that hamper Afghanistan's chances, who thoroughly deserved to at least have a game, and then sort of decide their fortune.
Yeah, if it will be a big shame if it gets washed out. But if there are reduced overs, then that can play into Afghanistan's favor, because short
Hmm.
of the game, any team can win. And Afghanistan are coming from a very, very good win.
Hmm.
One thing is there, that the scheduling is uh, absolute. I can't. I don't want to say the words here, but it's
Yeah,
really shambles. I mean, I'm sorry, but this cannot be done. I mean,
yeah, it's so
how can
unfair,
you
right?
expect
Mhm.
such an after playing such an intense game, and you
Mhm.
just have one day rest and play again against Australia? This
Yeah.
is just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous up from ICC.
Mhm.
They should have got at least 2 days,
Yeah.
because it's not a T20 game; it's a one-day game, and this
Mhm.
one-day game in
And it's a
subcontinent,
day and
in
nighter as
Pakistan,
well.
which
Like, yeah.
Pakistan pitch, you're
Mhm.
expected to make at least 300 runs and at least defend 300 runs. And in
Mhm.
doing that, they have to be, you know, at their absolute best. They were diving around, they were running around, throwing their body.
Mhm.
Zadran batted for the entire innings almost.
Mhm.
I mean, and you ask them to recover in one day and play against Australia the next day. This is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous from ICC.
No,
But
absolutely. I'm with you on
w-
that. Like, someone like India, like, they get a week off. I mean, what are you doing in Dubai for a week? You might as well play a game midweek, and then that'll give them enough break for, the knockout stages as well. I understand, the viewership and the revenue and everything else, but this sort of a series, you get viewership on a weekday as well. If India's playing, obviously, there'll always be viewership. You don't have to only
yeah,
schedule it on a
the,
weekend just because you can get more revenue.
yeah, there'll always be viewership. But
Mhm.
even then, even if India were playing on Sunday, that's just totally fine. Because
Mhm.
if you think about it, when is the final? The final will be played next weekend.
Yes, yeah.
In between, you have two semifinals. Why don't you
Hmm.
move those semifinals just for one day? You just
Hmm.
move them one day ahead, and then you get two
They
days
should
for
have the
Afghanistan.
flexibility, right? Yeah, absolutely. They should
It's
have
just
the
one day.
flexibility.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah,
So, I mean, ICC, you cannot do this. This is absolutely ridiculous.
yeah.
Tomorrow, uh, important game for Afghanistan.
Hmm.
Of course, they are absolute fighters. They will come back. They will they will get. They will not complain. They will come back. They will play. They will give their absolute best.
Hmm.
But I'm saying the shorter the game, it plays more in Afghanistan's favor,
Favor.
because they can just go hard. They don't have to sustain a long game. So, but yeah, Australia will not take them lightly. They
Hmm.
know how they have, they almost got out of jail last time.
The last
Almost
time,
what
yes.
they got out of jail last time of that incredible freakish innings uh, by
Maxwell, yeah.
Maxwell on one leg,
Hmm.
and also at the same time, Afghanistan will remember that,
Hmm.
and they will make sure that that does not happen again.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, an absolute treat it will be if we get any game, and I hope we get the game.
Absolutely, yeah. We hope there's a contest, and obviously, the better team sort of wins, and we'll see how things unfold over the next couple of days, and how Group B, which is sort of still open. Like, we see which two teams will make it to the semi-final. But yeah, I think that's pretty much we have from yesterday's game. It's been a brilliant game, and again, kudos to Afghanistan. But yes, for viewers, again, it's our personal opinions. Like we always say, we share our thoughts. Feel free to provide any feedback, and we sort of like look forward to upcoming games, and there'll be more podcasts coming up as we sort of move to the fag end of this wonderful series. Thank you, Amar. Have a good
See
night.
you. Good night.
Cheers.